It's the Atlanta Grubber Podcast with surefire restaurant reviews from throughout the Atlanta metropolitan area. Hosted by Joe Duffy, there is a special focus on his home chomping grounds of Alpharetta and Roswell. You can follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Atlanta Grubber and on atlantagrubber.com. Without further ado, here is your infallible restaurant whisperer, Joe Duffy.
Episode 7, we celebrate Women's History Month, and we are brought to you by my favorite lady, Stephanie Duffy at Duffy Scents, authorized Scentsy distributor. Check out our show notes, and we'll link to the Facebook page where you can host a Facebook party and get all kinds of free stuff. That's Duffy Scents, SCENTS.com. Now we focus on female chefs and some female owners. I was very excited when Eater.com listed the best breakfast places in the area, and listed 1, 2 are my 2 favorite places to eat breakfast, and they also have lunch menus, both of these places, and most importantly, at least for this episode, they are both owned by women who are also top shelf chefs. Soroya Khoury, Hen Mother Cookhouse. Soroya trained under Richard Reddington at Red in Napa Valley and Melissa Perello at Francis. She was brought to Atlanta to open Avalon's Rumi's Kitchen, but then she fell in love with the area, and how couldn't you? She then opened Hen Mother Cookhouse, which is a tremendous breakfast and lunch place. Now, the interesting thing is Soroya, all of her training is as a savory chef, both her formal training and years of experience. But now that she's opened her own place, her most popular item seems to be the cinnamon roll. And I can tell you, the first time my son bit into one of those, his face lit up like I had gotten him tickets to Game 7 of the World Series. Now, Soroya has a rotating menu, a lot of great stuff here. The shashuka's tremendous. Chicken and waffles.
Chicken and waffles?
She does a gourmet burger. That's nice because everybody's doing these double smash burgers, whatnot. Pork belly hash was as good of a dish I've had in a long time. Her pancakes, you've never had better. Chicken club, which is, probably a little bit more of a panini, but you could argue that it is the best chicken sandwich of any kind in the area. This and more from Soroya Khoury at Hen Mother Cookhouse. Jasmine Willis Slawitsky at Gracious Plenty. She trained under Ford Fry for quite a few years now, owns her own restaurant. She calls her team the Biscuit Squad, and that's quite appropriate because the biscuits are really the star here, but there's a lot of other great items. You can get the biscuit as a sandwich. I asked Jasmine to give me the best thing on the menu, and she said,
"Sit down, I'll make you some biscuits and gravy."
Also, thoroughly enjoyed their hash brown bowls. You can mix your proteins and your cheeses and the toppings, vegetables on top of a hash browns. And mercy, mercy me, another item that you must get, Scrump Delicious French almond cake.
Delicious. Double delicious.
All that from Jasmine Willis Slawitsky at Gracious Plenty. Nushin Yazdani from Noosh Kitchen. Now, when I say that I'm infallible, and it is true, I am infallible, but that's only limited to my recommendations. When it comes to explaining things like, well, what's the difference between Middle Eastern and Persian and even Mediterranean food, that not so much. I can just tell you whether it's great or not, and I think Noosh fits more under the category of Persian, but it is as good as it gets. Expanded. They've gotten a lot more formal. When I first started going there, kind of a no-frills place, but the food was great. They expanded their menu as well. Tons of kebabs. Almost impossible to beat a lamb kebab.
I'm going to go on a diet for sure. Next week, right now, I'm going to get me a lamb kebab and a wine cooler.
On the lunch menu, some wraps. Shredded tongue is one of the best sandwiches I've had anywhere in a long time. Again, it's gotten a little more formal, so it's a nice place to take a date. But the food, that's all I'm about, and this is a great place. I'm glad to see that Johns Creek has embraced it. They've expanded, like I said, both the size of the restaurant and the size of the menu. Nushin Yazdani from Noosh Kitchen. Nam Tham Young from Nam Fine Thai Cuisine. Look, let's give Nam credit. She was among the first to really have confidence in this area. One time, my favorite John Kessler quote about the area, we were bloomin' onion acres, but when Nam Tham Young brought in her food here, her restaurant, we didn't really have any high-end stuff. We really didn't have a lot of really good restaurants, but she saw the explosion that this area is going to have. Yes, it is fine cuisine, yet another place to take a date. Again, everything I've had here is good. Lemongrass soup, the pork massaman curry and pad thai I did share with a friend last visit. Can't go wrong here. Nam Tham Young at Nam Fine Thai Cuisine. A place that's nearby and also quite close in quality, Sharipapa Oyenaterik from M Thai Street Food. Now, that name isn't easy to pronounce. I hope I came close. In fact, most of these names aren't really all that easy to pronounce. But fortunately, she goes by Chef Lisa, makes it a lot easier. She moved to the U.S. as a single mother in her 20s, trained in various Thai kitchens in the metropolitan area, was blown away by her beef rib massaman curry, the jeeb, which is grandma-style shrimp. Brought my daughter there. She just loves her shrimp fried rice. Again, one of the top shrimp fried rices that I've ever had. When people ask me where's the best fried rice, they assume I'm going to tell them about a Chinese restaurant, especially American Chinese. No, really, most of my recommendations aren't Chinese restaurants, and definitely M Thai Street Food. This really belies the name. I expected M Thai Street Food to kind of be a lot more casual. Another fairly fancy place, and I'll say it again, also a pretty good place to take a date. Also, the food there is more formal than you would expect for something to be described as street food. It's not like I've ever been to Bangkok, but they told me there, the people that I communicated with at M Thai Street Food, that, yeah, pretty much all of this food that they do serve on the menu, you can easily find on the streets of Bangkok. But yes, Sharipapa Oyenaterik at M Thai Street Food. And speaking of women I love, check out my daughter's Dad Jokes channel. Well, she may get a little help from me. It's at HeyAbbyD.com. That is A-B-B-Y, HeyAbbyD.com. Cakes by Darcy. First had these as a bar mitzvah cake, and I said to a couple people at the table, anybody know where this cake came from? And they're saying, yeah, it's from Cakes by Darcy. And ever since then, look, I've never been much into birthdays. I don't really care. I just use it as an excuse to eat somewhere. I don't want any presents. I always tell my wife the only thing I want is to make sure you get my cupcakes at Cakes by Darcy. She always gets me a nice variety. I happen to like caramel, but that's more of a personal preference. All her cupcakes are wonderful. My favorite cupcakes in the area. She trained at Benison's and Tags in Chicago before relocating to Atlanta, where she worked at Rhodes Bakery, among others. And Darcy, very nice young lady, by the way. She told me she's never had to do any type of advertising ever, and I believe it. Word of mouth, and she is always busy. Cakes by Darcy. Sephora Kamali, Swan Cafe. Her first love is as a cake decorator. Very good at the savory arts, also very good at decorating cakes. Indeed, when she started out opening Swan Cafe, more leaned towards her Persian roots. It was Persian and Mediterranean. I guess the people didn't respond quite as well, became a little bit more Americanized, but she still has a nice mixture. She still had a little bit of each. Breakfast, lunch. No, she serves dinner sometimes. A lot of people were raving about the Cuban sandwich. Now, I consider Cuban sandwich pretty Americanized. That's what a lot of American people love it. But anyway, really good Cuban sandwich indeed. Sephora Kamali, Swan Cafe. Layud de Jesus Lopez from Layud's Cuban Bakery and Cafe, and yet another person who started out as a cake decorator. She's actually a trained artist and applied that to her cake decorating. Then she added a small menu of stuff like Cuban sandwich, and the mojo pork on Hawaiian bread is probably my favorite, not surprisingly, since she did make her fame and really develop a following as a pastry chef. Those rolls are incredible. Both the Hawaiian bread and the Cuban bread. She does sell the Cuban bread by itself, And it makes sense, I guess, that these rolls are really good. The Hawaiian roll kind of reminded me a little bit of a hoagie roll. So you want to start like your own hoagie and cheesesteak place in the area? I would definitely talk to Layud about supplying your rolls. But yeah, everything she does here is really good. Like I said, a limited but a very impressive savory menu. Layud de Jesus Lopez at Layud's Cuban Bakery and Cafe.
I can do anything. I am strong. I am invincible. I am woman.
Yes, in honor of Women's History Month, Atlanta Grubber is featuring the top women chefs as well as some restaurant owners as well. And yeah, it doesn't mean that we're not going to give more in-depth features of these restaurants on another episode, kind of a special episode. And in fact, here's a person we've already talked a little bit about. Belen de la Cruz of Empanadas and Pastries. Whew! She's starting to get a lot of publicity all of a sudden. I think she's been featured in like the AJC, Atlanta Magazine, one of the TV stations. You heard about her from me first on my Twitter feed at Atlanta Grubber. Look, we did speak about her a little bit before. Again, these are world-class empanadas. Got to give her credit. You know, when I tried them, I'm like, these are fantastic. But is it a little bit too much of a niche shop? Thank goodness that didn't turn out to be a worry at all. She's opening a second place, the second location in Marietta. By the way, if you're driving from a distance, you can make, 2 or 3 for the price of one trip directly across the street from Hen Mother Cookhouse and just down the street from Noosh, which we told you about. So just tell Belen de la Cruz that, I want some empanadas to go. I'll heat it up later. She also does have a couple pastries there, but the empanadas are the star. But yet again, not surprising that she has great pastries because perhaps the best part is the crust, the dough. Fantastic. Belen de la Cruz from Empanadas and Pastries. Brianna Carson from Crave Pie, who talk about somebody who just keeps bouncing back. It started out, this business did, when she was laid off of a corporate job of 20 years. Certainly a blessing in disguise for us, and I hope she considers it a blessing in disguise. I think so. First, her Duluth, her original location, was damaged by a fire from a nearby restaurant. Then she opens up closer to me in Alpharetta City Center, and then the plague hit. The Duluth location has reopened. Big seasonal menu. You can eat this stuff anytime. I've had her pies for breakfast.
Any time of the day is a good time for pie.
I would say so, especially when it's this good. And like I said, she's located in two of my favorite synergistic places, both Parsons Alley and Alpharetta City Center. She also has some quiche and some chicken pot pie. Brianna Carson, Crave Pie. Arpana Satyu Burge, Dutch Monkey Donuts. It is a husband and wife team. She did train professionally as a pastry chef. Her husband, Martin, as the savory chef. Everything here is made from scratch. One of the best donut places in the area, kind of neck and neck with Sublime Donuts. They get a little fancier here, I think, with more of the Pacific Northwest type things, some of the more non-traditional donuts. But Arpana Satyu Burge, Dutch Monkey Donuts. Talked about them before, said they own perhaps one of my top 2 hidden gems, Michelle Leyu and Karen Wang of Mama's Kitchen. Now, they do have a male chef, but they are the co-owners. They are sisters, Michelle Leyu and Karen Wang. Mama's Kitchen, truly a hidden gem Taiwanese restaurant. The 2 best restaurants in my chomping grounds of Roswell from RO Hospitality, and they both have female sous chefs. Jess Liberatore, the sous chef of Table and Main, and at the sister restaurant, Osteria Matone, Laura Orellana is the executive chef there. Both of these are also, again, pretty high-ended places. Table and Main is good as it gets when it comes to Southern food. Osteria Matone, great place for Italian food. They just recently, now all their pastas are homemade, so I do need to get back there. But again, Jess Liberatore and Laura Orellana, who are the sous chefs at Table and Main and Ostarina Matone, respectively, from RO Hospitality. The best catering director in the state is Hope Noodleman. You can reach her literally for all of your catering needs. Hope at TOTTATL.com. That's TOTT as in Talk of the Town. She works for Talk of the Town Catering, or reach her at 770-594-1567, 770-594-1567. Ask for Hope Noodleman at Talk of the Town Catering.
Twas the talk of the town.
Let me tell you about two other tremendous young ladies, Stephanie Christensen and Stephanie Mitra. Stephanie Christensen is the executive director, and Stephanie Mitra, the operations and finance manager at the Starhouse Foundation. Please visit them, starhousefoundation.org. It is the preferred charity of the Atlanta Grubber. They help at-risk kids get a chance at a great education. Again, the education is a great equalizer. Summer camps, this Starhouse Foundation does so much good in the area. Please visit them right now, starhousefoundation.org. Donate money, donate time, be a mentor, help these young kids with their homework. It's an after-school program, especially when the world becomes normal again. Starhousefoundation.org.